Director.
Sure, you go right ahead.
Second, Director Wallace. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're out of closed session at 6 o'clock. No reportable action. Moving on to the regular session. Time for public comments. Anyone out there would like to make a public comment, now is the time.
My name is Kelly Carden. I'm a longtime Roseland resident. I'm also a member of the RMAC Council here in town. I just wanted to officially come and say hi to everybody. I do know everyone on the board. I've met everyone in the past. I want to let you know that we are here to help you and work with you for anything we might be able to assist with or facilitate. All right, thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right, moving on to consent calendar, CC1, approval of the check vouchers and the payroll. Anyone have any questions about that? I'll entertain a motion there for CC1.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Director Webb. Second?
Second.
Second, Director Stewart. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion CC1 is carried. Minutes, M1, M2, M3 from Finance Committee, regular board meeting, and the Government and Community Relations Committee. Any questions?
Mr. President, I had a question about the, let's see here, the Government Community Relations. This is kind of for you, Ken. When they discussed the housing element of Kern County. I recently saw where the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors established the Antelope Valley Water Plan to address sustainable growth and supply reliability, and that also includes an AVAC. Do we have anything like that going on in Kern County? That goes along with this housing plan, how it will impact, because I know you wrote the letter, but are they looking at how it will impact, growth will impact utilities, water needs, different things of that nature?
So in the housing element that was adopted last Tuesday by the Board of Supervisors, the housing element, which is a part of the general plan, Kern County general plan. The mention of utilities is that for the as it relates to the housing element, is that the utilities still work with local utilities, but as far as a plan on water sustainability plan or anything like that, they're leaving that up to the utilities themselves and relying on the state regulations to do that. So they don't. So that housing element didn't directly address it, but it addressed it by saying somebody else is going to take care of that.
Yeah. You know, the concern, like I think Director Webb brought up last meeting, we have 200, 300 more homes here. How does that impact our sewer system? And, you know, our terms of growth. We just grew, and now we're maybe looking down the road to grow again, or to expand, I should say.
So last Wednesday, this board had a workshop on vision, and one of the elements of the vision is to provide sign people up, but we do need to stay ahead of it. So one of the things that I know we're going to be talking about is updating our water and our master water and sewer plans, which do address, you know, growth and additional facilities that are needed so that it feeds our capacity fee charges that we charge to new development.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that is in play. In fact, you just authorized NBS to update our capacity fees just this the last board meeting. So that process is already underway.
All right. Moving on to presentation.
We have two.
Mr. President, excuse me.
All in favor of M1, M2, M3?
A motion to,
Motion to
a
approve.
motion, sir, to approve them when we
And a
Second.
second Wallace. All favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes, motion carried, M1, M2, M3. Presentation, I'm gonna come down there where the rest of you are. Be on the same level. This is what his wife said, but I would say the same thing, okay? I can honestly say that John loved working to make Roseman a better place to live and to grow, especially getting the news out to inform the community. His 38 years of never missing an issue is testament to his work ethic. And I think it's a work ethic that is dying. I don't think young people have a work ethic any longer. 38 years without a missing paper. My Antelope Valley Press comes to the mail right now. And regularly, every month, the post office will say, well, they didn't deliver it, so they can't deliver it to me. And then you call the Antelope Valley Press, and they say, we left them there. So somebody's work ethic is dropped on a regular basis. He saw a need for a local newspaper back in I delivered the Herald Examiner like this in my hand on Roseland Boulevard to the people coming home from Edwards Air Force Base for a dime a copy. The Herald Examiner. There wasn't much of a Roseland paper then at all. These are the things that he's involved in, actively involved in. He helped organize the Roseland Foundation that was established in 2009. Rcsd was part of that original foundation. He helped organize the Roseland Rotary. He was president and held many of the different offices in the Rotary. He's part of the Roseland Town Council before it became RMAC. Now RMAC, some of you, it used to be called the Rule, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was the town council the
Yeah.
first time.
At first it was rural guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, out in the country. He is a part of the Roseland Chamber of Commerce. Can't remember what the offices are he held, but I can guarantee he probably held all the different offices at different times. He is a Roseland representative of the East Kern Economic Alliance. He's a member of the East Kern Historical Society. Even though he's a young fella, he's involved in historical societies. Roseland News has received over the years 14 state awards for print and online. I know there's some other things that probably those in the public would like to say, so I'm going to include you first. Someone want to come up here and throw something over at John about what you remember. I'll start. I remember John stealing my neighbor's car all the time. I had a neighbor, Pearl Harbor survivor, Orville Woolman, and every time he'd get a new car, I got one of his Volkswagen Rabbit for my son when he got rid of that one. But he got ready to get rid of the car, and John knew him, and John would be right there, because it was a pretty good car, usually he was getting rid of.
Oh, he kept it in shape.
And I appreciated seeing his car driving around with Roseland News on it for a number of years until I guess you basically wore it out. Yeah. Anybody, some comments about Roseland News that you remember?
I would like to make a comment. John, you've been there for the kids in this community, covering sports activities, covering all the girls and boys sports activities, the band. And I can't thank you enough for that, because that means so much to the community to see that involvement that you have and to bring our community to life. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
How many papers, John, is it?
Three, but 3 online too. So 6.
Well, I appreciate about you, you're honest, you tell the truth.
Piggyback off of what Sherry said. I was here for the onset of the online stuff. We paved the pavement, him, I, some kids walked around getting subscriptions so people would join the online part of Roseman News.
Remember that?
And we would,
Yeah. We walked every
we walked
street, every
every
house.
street, every house. We would go by my mom's to get water. But,
True,
so,
true.
they go back, they're really good people, so
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna miss it.
Hey, John, the only thing I can tell you is that the time that I've known you, which is, I don't know how many years ago, like you said, you're honest, but I think besides being honest, you're genuinely concerned about people's well-being. I remember when I was running for office the second term or whatnot, and I had this hoopla. And, no, I was a board president, I'm sorry, and you just said, Rick, tell me about what's going on, you know, what's going on with the district and whatnot. And even though you reported it, you didn't report things to get people in trouble. You reported things, as Alfred said, so people would know, make your own decisions. Going back to my wife and you guys had it, you know, you used to promote the newspapers, and, you know, one of the things that you did, which I would give you compliments on, this goes back to what you said, Sherry, you would have articles about the kids on the front page. People saw their kids, they bought the paper. But you would feature the kids, you know, doing things within the community or whatever, and that prompted the parents part, which tells me that you have a vested interest in everyone's well-being. So thank you very much. I know you're retired, but you're not done. You just be doing something different. But thank you for all the years of support, John. Thank you very much. And thank you for supporting John, but thank you both for giving my wife that opportunity with her little news media reporter type thing back in the day. Thank you, guys.
John, I want, try to get this voice to work for a couple minutes.
You have to apologize.
I thought you were getting emotional, John. I want to say thank you for everything, like you're saying, to the community. I always remember, you know, putting the seniors in the paper. I actually still have my first Roseman newspaper that I bought on my own. It's the Jim Wolford edition after he passed away. I still have that. It's still in my closet on the shelf. That just speaks to how much you are with the community, knowing when a person like that passes away and they get in there and you tell the story of everything they've done for the community. And then you can see people showing up. It's probably the most people we've had here since before COVID. Nothing against Hydro Store. Welcome, you guys, but we're all here for the local celebrity. So I want to say thank you.
You're too.
John, Joyce, you rock. Like everyone has said, you used to come out to my football camps, and really appreciate that, and lob me softball questions, because I wasn't used to being in front of the camera like that. You would lob those softball questions to me, but you have really been instrumental in this community. As Ms. Webb mentioned, the Roseman E-News, that's where I get all my information. As I mentioned to you, I've gone back 8 years on things that have gone on in this board. Because you have to know where you're going. You have to, if you know where you're going, you kind of have to know where you came from. So I want to thank you for providing that forum. I see you have someone to replace you, a young person. That's great. Maybe her dream will be one day to be a news reporter.
She'll be better.
But you give her that opportunity, just like a Leo Stalwart that we see at Costco in Lancaster for ABC News. So the sky's the limit. You're providing that, so thank you.
Anyone else? Let me read what's on the plaque here. Roseman Community Service District presented to John Joyce, the Roseman News, in grateful appreciation of your many years of outstanding dedication and journalistic service to the community of Roseman. Congratulations on your retirement, presented March 27, 2024. The way I'm going to do this, and when you mentioned his history, there was a paper, a little small Roseman News before John's Roseman News, and one time he had been back looking through all of the archives, like you were saying, and he said, "Were you Youth of the Month in 19 whatever it was?" Because he had seen that in the old Roseman News. And I said, "Yeah, John, the community didn't understand what Youth of the Month meant." Here's the way I want to do this. John and your bride, come right up here.
Go here.
And you guys stand up so you're a little taller in the back there. And I don't know if you guys want to go around on each end, how big the camera will be.
We'll let the director do that.
I don't know though, John's took.
Paying attention to the Roseman News and the work we've done. Sherry, thank you for organizing this today. And it's been a pleasure, actually, to report the doings of all the people in Roseman. When I started the papers, I was worried about the news. I was thinking, where am I going to get all the news? But that's the least of the worries. Everybody has a story, good story. And if you just slow down and listen, it's amazing. And Roseman, Roseman has great people that contribute to the community, keep life going in an upbeat way, manage agencies like this for the best interest of the people. And it's a pleasure to be included in that. So I want to thank you very much. And I do remember history. I'm looking at John there. And I used to go to meetings like this at the 20th Street office. The people would barely fit in there. There was a table, the directors would sit around the table, everybody else would sit around the directors, this far apart. I mean, we were tight, close. Glendon Johnson was the manager then, great manager. And then the housing boom hit. Art Landsgaard wanted to do a real estate ad. Asked me to help him, and I said, okay. So we did a Century 21 real estate flyer to Encino, because that's where the developers lived. Well, the first meeting we had 35 developers sitting in that 20th Street office, want to know how they're going to get water for their projects. And it took off. And it's been a pleasure working with everyone. And now we have a new group coming here. The Hydro Store is going to put Roseman on the map internationally. We appreciate that. But John, I remember John when he was digging the trench down to the sewer plant, and he was just a kid then, you know, he was just a young guy. And look where he is now. He's almost retired himself. That's right. So thank you all very much for your kindness over the years. And Amanda has got a lot of enthusiasm, has been with us for 5 years.
8 years.
See what I mean? She's going to be better than me. Get the dates right. And has a daughter, brand new daughter. She and Javier have a brand new daughter. And they're very enthusiastic. They're also looking for a house.
And Roseman's part of the list.
Right. And so they know about the online YouTubes. They know how to do that. They know how to do the print for sure. And they're learning about how to handle the people. There's all kinds of people. And most of them are great, but there's a few that you got to watch out for. And Sergeant Webb here did 41 years with the police department, and I'm sure he met all kinds of interesting people. And that not as interesting though as the one on the Rcsd. We've had some times over the years.
Yes.
So thank you all very much, and hope to see you around.
All right.
Thank you.
Do you have any brochures that you have seen?
We do, yes.
I'd like to have them.
Here, I'll pass them out.
Good evening, my name is Kurt Hildebrand, Senior Vice President with Hydrostore, and I appreciate very much the opportunity to speak with the board tonight. I had to look it up. I was last here in November of 2022 when we were proposing a project out off Tehachapi Willow Springs and Hamilton Sweetser Roads. And I'm excited tonight to provide an update. We've optimized our project location, and I'll give you some more details and answer any questions as we go through the presentation. Really here to address any and all questions and concerns you may have. We're pretty excited about the new project location, and we'll talk about why that is going forward. Just a quick outline, I'll try and skip through this fairly briefly. The project itself is essentially the same project that we proposed originally over on Tehachapi Willow Springs and Sweetser Road. Turns out the geology was not suitable over there for our project. Subsurface geology, we require very low permeability, very low porosity bedrock to construct our caverns. And we had a few issues with the geology out there. It just wasn't suitable for a project that we were proposing of 500 megawatts of capacity for 8 hours. So we'll talk about the new project site, our timeline going forward, the transmission line, show some visual renderings from the new site, also highlight some of the economic benefits for from the facility, and again, answer any questions that you may have as we go through this. This next map gives me a depiction of our new location. We are located just one exit north, up off of Don Road exit, to the east of Highway 14 and west of Sierra Highway and the railroad tracks. We'll zoom in on it a little bit, but we have a approximately 90-acre site that we purchased there. We're a couple miles south of the Pacific Steel facility that's going in to the north. Zooming in a little bit, again, Don Road, we're just to the northeast of that interchange there, and west of the highway and Sierra Highway and railroad tracks. I will highlight that we are outside of the Rosemont CSD service territory with this new site. This is a closer version. Again, you see the railroad tracks to our east as well as Sierra Highway and Highway 14 to our west. This is a vacant parcel right now, and one of the attributes of the site, the ABEC 36-inch main water pipeline runs adjacent to the Sierra Highway there. We have an application in with them. We've spoken to them extensively, and they will be our water supplier for the project. We will not be utilizing any groundwater or groundwater wells for this project. Going forward, we have proposed that at the prior site to utilize groundwater, but that is not required here. And again, that's part of the reason why we sited where we did. We've just completed our 5th borehole out here at this site. We're testing it right now. Each of those are about 2,800 feet deep. And the geology, I'm very happy to report out here, is outstanding for our application. Again, it will be a 500 megawatt 8-hour battery, essentially, a mechanical battery. We'll talk a little bit more about how it's going to work, just to refresh your memory. Any questions as we talk about the new optimized site?
You're going to build a line, the electric line.
We'll have about an 18 or 19 mile transmission line that will be required as part of this project. I have a slide or two on that as well. We'll be interconnecting into the Southern California Edison Whirlwind substation. Talked about the location. Again, the project size, 500 megawatts by 8 hours. To give a sense of reference there, that's about 350 to 400,000 people's worth of electricity, about half of Kern County. And it will be storing that entire capacity for 8 hours. We are a long duration energy storage provider. What makes us different from batteries, the utility scale batteries that are being installed around California are typically 2 to 4 hour resources, typically about 100 megawatts in size. So we are significantly larger. We are the largest long duration energy storage project being advanced in North America today. And again, this is our flagship greenfield project internationally for our company. We are advancing a project a little bit more advanced than this project in Australia. We also have irons in the fire in Europe and around the globe. But as far as our greenfield flagship project, we're very excited to call Kern County our home for this facility. And again, I do envision, from an energy perspective, this being a big gold star on the map for Kern County and HydroStore to bring dignitaries and energy leaders to the facility and get a taste for what is capable with our new technology. Transmission line 230 kV into Whirlwind. The site control is complete. We did file our supplemental application for certification. That's a mouthful, with California Energy Commission earlier this month. We had filed that original application for certification, AFC, back a couple years ago with the Energy Commission, and had to supplement that given our new site location. So that is now in the Energy Commission's hands and they're reviewing it. We do have a 5th borehole underway, as I mentioned. The feedback is the subsurface testing has been outstanding. Commercial status, very excited to say we do have our first customer under contract. Central Coast Community Energy is contracted for 200 megawatts from this facility. Fingers crossed, we'll be announcing a few more offtake agreements with load-serving entities, utilities, and that will be hopefully here in Q2 of this year. We are targeting Energy Commission approval about a year from now in Q2 of 2025. We have about a 4.5-year construction cycle. It's a very significant undertaking, both surface and subsurface. So we're targeting a late 2029 or early 2030 commercial operation date. As I mentioned, we have site control. The commercial life of the project is expected to be 50+ years, not like batteries, that even utility scale batteries decline annually, a couple percent a year. And after about 10 years, you have to replace them, just like in your phone. We don't have that sort of degradation or need to replace any of our major equipment. The water needs for the facility, the total requirements will be between 1,100 and 1,200 acre feet. About half of that is for construction over that 4.5-year time frame. The other half is to charge our reservoir. And again, that will be supplied by AVEC. We actually have a net water balance surplus annually when we compress ambient air during our operations. We extract the relative humidity, and we expect to have about 30 acre feet a year, depending on weather and operations. So we'll have a surplus of water, which is probably something that you don't see every day,
Right.
Making water out of thin air. And again, the 36-inch water line is adjacent to our property, which is very convenient. I do have a small core sample in my briefcase. I forgot to bring it up with me. It's granite. It's outstanding. And again, we'll be building caverns at about 2,500 feet deep. Those caverns will be about 1 million cubic yards in volume. and that sounds enormous. It's pretty good size. It's a football field by a football field by a football field in total volume. So 100-yard cube, if you will. And that's where we store our water and our air alternately. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Excavated rock, we currently intend to fill that over to Holiday Rock at their Mojave Quarry for reuse at their facility. We again we'll meet all noise requirements and standards. Our major equipment will be at or below 100 feet in height, and we will be emissions free during normal operations. We're not burning natural gas or any other combustibles. We're using off-peak electricity to compress air, store energy, generating electricity when the peak load is higher. So it's taking low-cost, off-peak power. When the wind's blowing and the sun's shining, we store that excess energy instead of feathering the wind turbines or turning off the solar farms. We actually charge our system with that and are able to utilize that to use during peak hours, which is right about now. When the sun goes down, everybody goes home, turns on the lights, TV, the kitchen. The state of California, with all the intermittent renewables that we have, is great for the environment, but it's a real bugger to operate when you don't have reliable generation resources to point at. When we go online, we will be a huge benefit for the grid in Southern California and in the West Coast, quite honestly. Next slide. These are a couple pictures out at our site. The rig in the top picture there is drilling borehole number 3. That's from a little ways back. Dawn Road is just a dirt road to the east of Highway 14 currently, and has been a popular do-it-yourself dump, unfortunately, for the past few years. But we are committed to cleaning that up, and part of our development will be bringing that road, paving it, and bringing it up to standards. This is a plot plan of our facility. We'll have 4 125 megawatt trains, we call them. It's a 125 megawatt air compressor and a 125 megawatt turbo expander generator. The air compressor does just that. It compresses air, injects it down into the reservoir. That water that was in the reservoir is slowly displaced to the surface, so it acts as a big hydraulic spring. When we pump that air down over the course of the day, we'll have compressed air in the reservoir and water up at the surface in a surface reservoir. When we turn the system around, the air will slowly come back up to the surface. The water will maintain a constant hydrostatic head, and that air will be utilized to generate electricity. It takes about 13 hours to charge our system, and then we'll have 8 hours of stored energy. This is a rendering, again, looking to the northwest. The top of the picture there is the surface reservoir. We will cover that to minimize evaporation. The spherical and other tanks, they look mysterious, I get it. They're storing hot water. One of our secret sauce, if you will, that really brought us to the forefront of the long-duration energy storage marketplace, we were able to develop and patent technology. When we actually compress air, that creates a lot of heat. That's typically wasted. What we do is we utilize heat exchangers to capture that heat. We store that heat in those insulated tanks in the form of water. That's our working fluid. And when we flip the system around and generate, when we expand the air, it would actually freeze into solid chunks if we didn't reheat it. That doesn't do so well in high-speed rotating equipment, so we need to reheat that air. That's traditionally been done with natural gas. We've perfected this technology where we don't have to utilize natural gas. We use our waste heat from the compression process, So we are, again, emissions-free during our operations. Any questions? I know it's a lot of information. Next slide. Transmission line route, we are currently, our preferred route is to take off from our site west, off alongside Don Road, and then down Mojave Tropico, and down Rosemont. We're working closely with the county and landowners here in terms of securing rights of way and other easements to facilitate the construction of that project. Everybody that's been down Rosemont Boulevard knows there's a lot of transmission out there right now. We got a lot of real smart electrical engineers working on the best solution. But this will be reviewed in detail throughout our California Energy Commission review process. The Holiday Rock facility is also shown on the map to the north there. Our milestone schedule, again, we did file our supplemental application for certification earlier this month. We are targeting what they call data adequacy next quarter. The Energy Commission will issue a preliminary staff assessment. We expect that before year end, and that will move towards a decision from the entire commission sometime next year. We are hopeful and expect to close financing shortly thereafter and begin construction, and again, about a 4.5-year construction cycle for the facility. Some of the economic and fiscal benefits, we are currently about $1.5 billion for this facility. It is obviously a significant investment, and again, will be a resource for the community and the county for many decades to come. We expect about 250 average construction jobs over 4+ years, with a peak workforce of about 2 million man-hours of labor. I haven't compared that yet with the Pacific Steel Mill. I know some of their numbers they're at about $540 million CapEx. I think they have more permanent facility O&M jobs. I think we have a few more construction jobs. We're targeting 25 to 40 full-time equivalent positions during operations. Very significant local direct and indirect impacts to Kern County. We are not subject to property tax exemptions like a lot of the solar developers, so we'll be paying our share of property taxes. And we are fully committed to working closely with Kern County and the local community to ensure that the project's safe and compatible. Slide. Some of the attributes of the new site, what really attracted us to it, we really don't have any residences within 1/3 of a mile of the facility. I think it's closer to 1/2 mile. So we are more remote from the community, which is preferred in most instances for large industrial facilities. We will have no local groundwater impacts. Again, we're not drilling groundwater wells. We'll have AVEC as our sole supplier. Project access is outstanding. You know, we're right off of Highway 14 there, so the ingress and egress is very suitable for our facility. And the subsurface geology is ideal. We're really excited about being able to construct a cavern that doesn't leak. So that's real attractive for us. Happy to answer any questions. Again, we're excited to be advancing this project at our new site, and happy to entertain any questions.
I had a question. Could you share with us briefly a little bit about the cavern construction? Just the process.
Yeah,
Sounds intriguing, 2,500 feet down, and
it is a fascinating process. Just to set the background a little bit, subsurface caverns, they sound impossible or very difficult. They're not easy, but they've been constructed across the globe for over 100 years. What they've typically been utilized for is storing hydrocarbons, pentane, butane. Folks will construct these subsurface caverns and utilize them as big storage tanks. And what the principal method of construction is called blind bore shaft construction. It's like a gigantic drill rig, if you will. Typically, and again, we're still optimizing the design. Don't quote me on absolute figures yet because they're still moving, but typically we'll have about an 8-foot diameter shaft, drill multiple shafts. Some larger, some smaller, but 8 foot will be probably the largest. Those are constructed, and we'll actually deconstruct our construction equipment like big trucks and other mining equipment, deconstruct them, send them down the shaft, rebuild them down in the caverns, and have them do their work. It'll typically be a blast and recover, controlled detonations twice a day for about a second. We'll have the 12-hour crew set up for a detonation and blast, and then the new crew will come in, muck all that out, set up for the next controlled detonation, and repeat that over the course of a couple of years to construct our cavern. We'll grout any cracks. Again, we're highly motivated not to lose air or water. That's our lifeblood too. There are videos on YouTube that I've gotten smarter watching on blind bore shaft construction. It's a pretty neat endeavor. One of the mining guys is telling me that they have black tie dinners. Typically, when they finish constructing these caverns, they'll have the finest food. And I haven't done a blind bore shaft in my career, but it is fairly standard practice across the globe to construct these.
May I ask you a question? Sure. First of all, I like your presentation, thank you for it. You were talking about the dollar amount, 1-point-something billion, that's a pretty big number. As far as the construction, typically people come into Roseman and when solar was real big and wind, they bring all this in and you write money to us come, but none of the people in our region get any of that. Are you folks looking to hire construction people in this area? Because one of the things when folks come up here, you see everything out of state. I know this is probably a specialty type design, you just can't have anyone doing it. But one of the things you always see Texas, Arizona, Utah scene, and you see no local people. So are you folks even considering, I know it's a specialty design itself, but is there any consideration for looking at local construction companies that have a part of this?
Absolutely. And again, I've personally licensed and built over 4,000 megawatts of power plants in California. Not only do I realize that it's a good thing for the local community to hire locally, California Energy Commission will condition our approval on us doing so. We're in the late stages of finalizing a project labor agreement. There will be union construction, and as part of that labor agreement and the California Energy Commission conditions on the project, we will be mandated to meet thresholds of local hires. And again, having done this before, we see the benefit. There's no benefit to us in bringing somebody in from Louisiana or Texas to do something that we can get somebody right here in Southern California to do. So you have our committee is charged with setting rates and regulating our investor-owned utilities, the Southern California Edisons and PG&Es. They go out and they mandate how much new generation each load-serving entity needs to get to keep the lights on. Part of their mandate is long-duration energy storage. We have 1,000 megawatt carve-out that needs to get pancaked across the state. So being a big project and half of that entire mandate for long-duration energy storage, we have an exceptional level of interest. I'm very happy to say for load-serving entities, our product is what our customers are looking for, and they're also mandated to get it. So I wish I could say more about our
Yeah,
commercial
we're good.
activities. Ideally, we'll contract 100% of it, 500 megawatts. Is that required? No. I've built projects with 0 megawatts contracted. It's called a merchant plant. You just sell it on the open market and play roll the dice, if you will. But for new technology, we're expecting to have well over half of it contracted.
Why'd you pick our region? I know you started on the far west field. What made this area desirable to you folks for the project?
Well, firstly, Kern County is obviously well known to be a great host for industrial facilities, and first and foremost, that's one of the main reasons we're here. Secondly, the single hardest thing to do in developing power plants in California or anywhere in the U.S. is to find transmission capacity on the grid, where you can plug in a brand new 500 megawatt generator. It's preposterous how many megawatts are being applied for when there's just very little to be found. We did a lot of research, spent a lot of money, did a lot of studies, and found spare capacity in the Whirlwind substation. So our ability to interconnect 500 megawatts into Whirlwind is huge for the state, for us, for the project. Typically, 1%, 2%, 3% of the total megawatts that are applied for are granted as deliverable. So it's a really difficult aspect of power plant development, and we're happy to have deliverability here in Antelope Valley.
You know, Edison has generators, and they put out single phase and 3-phase, you don't get into that.
We will be a synchronous generator, which means we're not a battery or a solar cell. We have rotating inertia. We will generate in 3-phase. We will transmit at 230 kV, and we will be able to provide voltage support and other ancillary services to the grid that batteries and solar projects can't. We have, just being a synchronous generator, you can tweak power factors and add a lot of reliability to the statewide system by having a inertial generator as opposed to a solar cell or a battery.
Is your rate set by somebody, or are they compared to Edison, or what?
Our contracts are typically negotiated after requests for proposals or requests for offers. Southern California Edison will typically annually have a RFO, request for offers. Everybody puts bids in. They pick their favorites based on price and feasibility, their criterias. And whoever wins that beauty contest makes it to the short list. And we're lucky enough to have made a few short lists and finalized one contract already.
You kept using the word flagship. This could be the first one of many more, might go to other parts of the world, other parts of the country, probably bringing people in here to take a look at it once it gets up and running. So, I don't know, I guess my question is, not like sales tax reference or anything like that. You guys are not based out of here, but is there anything else after you guys open and you saw that continues growth or continues, that's what I'm trying to get across, the next step after this. So I know you're probably focused on getting this one going, but the next step.
Great question. Yeah, I forgot to mention we are headquartered in Toronto, Canada. Our biggest investor is Goldman Sachs. They invested $250 million into us last year. That's the largest global investment that we're aware of in the long duration energy sector. Again, 90+% of energy storage is batteries across the globe. That's just the way it is. It's 2 to 4 hours. That's what's commercially available today and price competitive. We are in a little niche where we can provide longer duration. To answer your question, we'd love to add more capacity here. Getting back to my earlier point, transmission is the biggest constraint. We do have applications into cluster 15, Cal ISO, has bisected when you can apply for new capacity on the grid. Just to give you a sense, it was over 10 times California's peak load. Peak load is about 50,000 megawatts for California in our history. There was over 750,000 megawatts applied for in the 15th cluster, meaning there's 14 clusters before that. So they had 12 or 13 times more megawatts applied for than we've ever had for our highest peak demand. It's a challenging endeavor. We do very much, I can say without violating commercial improprieties, that we've applied for more capacity in and around Kern County. And I can't say that about some of the other places we've looked at.
This may be history, but it may be significant to your program. Rosamond Community Service District bought the water company from a fellow named Sam Burr. And that tank that's up there as you go around the freeway,
Bill Hayes?
that tank, that's where he blew that hill up. And that was his water reservoir for the water system in Rosamond, because it was all rock and it didn't evaporate down. And he put a tent cover over it, and that was the storage for the water in Rosamond back then.
We have an option to acquire that property, Bill Hayes' property, with exclusion of that singular tank.
It was all rock, and I was about 8 years old, 9 years old, when everybody stood around and watched him dynamite. It goes, ooh.
I didn't know how that land got to be that way. I'd like to talk to you more about that. It's interesting.
And then he sold the water company to Rosamond Community Service District.
We have a walking archive.
That's the history. I love it. Yeah. Sounds like a very large project. Any thoughts of any outreach programs in the community?
We are very engaged with the community, and more so every day. I can give you a list. Quite honestly, it's pretty lengthy of our activities in the community. Russell Johnson and Common Sense Consulting has done an outstanding job of handling Russell's team to plug us into. We partially sponsored the Vietnam Memorial Wall in November. We've been quite active. It's we try not to toot our horn too much, but we are we're going to be around for half a century and change, so we definitely see the value of contributing to our host communities.
Any plans for the property out at Willow Springs that you have?
When I mentioned the geology is not suitable, I do want to clarify and make clear, it's not suitable for a 500 megawatt 8-hour project. The opportunity to construct a smaller project there does exist, and I don't want to rule that out for anybody in the community. We still hold that property and have some interest from potential utility candidates for that project, so in a perfect world, we'll have a couple projects.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience?
So I had to skip out early, unfortunately, last week. I apologize. I had an issue at home. Do you have a number for expected revenue and expected tax revenue in the project once you're open for business?
I don't have those numbers handy. I mean, I could
Ballpark it this time. At least the second number. Be honest.
Yeah, revenues are kind of hard to say, given that we're still negotiating what our price is going to be.
Absolutely.
In terms of property taxes, not having any exemptions in place, just rough math would be 1% of $1.5 billion.
I love it. Okay.
$15 million a year.
Thank you.
You know, the bad part about that, it sounds really, well, the good part is the numbers sound good. because I've probably got to go for Curry County before it comes back to Roseland.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at your numbers here, and I know you have no control over it, but the numbers sound great. And like I said, even a tenth of that came back to the community. So, but anyway, question: you said 200 million in municipal direct and indirect dollars being. Is that the company? That's kind of your contract? Is everything involved with the project? Doing things in and around the region?
Yeah, I think the number was 500 million in direct and indirect local economic benefits. And as part of our application, which is, again, if you print it out, I mean, we used to have to print them out, it would be 20 feet tall and have to deliver 100 copies by truck. Now they're online. Our entire, part of our application has a very extensive socioeconomic chapter where we dive into, we didn't pull 500 million out of the air. We built it up from local sales tax, local contributions, and the like. There's a lot of detail in there that would provide better answers, but that's a function of local sales tax and property tax and employment taxes and things.
Well, if it comes together, like you're hoping, it could be a nice benefit for the entire region.
Indeed.
Yeah, it could come together for everybody.
Yeah, you made me laugh because then you have to deal with Kern County. We deal with Kern County, and we got to deal with Sacramento, and that's their.
It keeps bumping up.
That's their hardship.
They all see money, right?
Yeah. See it go, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. New business, ND1, approval of a consent to limited right of entry on our properties. At the sewer treatment, about the water reclamation plant. Is that the-
You're talking about the approval of consent to limited right of entry? That's the one we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. So this consent to limited right of entry is related to geological and biological and archaeological studies that that this project needs to have happen. We happen to have two properties that are on the alignment. One is water tank 4, see our access road right along John Road to the tank. The other one is near our property along, Mojave Tropico, which is around, near the line that's around there. We have a property there, and their alignment was along both sides. The document that was provided by their consultant, we want authorization to approve with consent of council, because we want to add, there's some language we want to change in it, but we want authorization to do that, if it so please the board, to allow them to look around the property for bugs and bunnies.
And we hope they find nothing.
So, Kim, so we're just basically giving you permission to add some words to the verbiage.
You're gonna authorize approval subject to council review, and authorize your general manager to execute.
Yeah, this one's it. To look at those two properties up there.
Any other questions?
May I have a motion for ND1?
So,
Motion Director Washington, second. Second Director Webb. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. ND1. Directors report comments. Director Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple weeks ago, I spoke about water sustainability efforts in the region. Tonight, I'd like to highlight our neighbors south at Palmdale Water District. They voted to approve the name and logo of this future recycling center. Pure Water AV is the new name. It was previously previously known as the Palmdale Regional Water Augmentation Project. The new name selected aligns itself with other statewide projects. In fact, Metropolitan calls their Carson plant pure water. PWD's new 5,500 square foot demonstration facility should be up and running in early 2025. The $15 million demonstration facility is required by the state before the full-scale project, estimated to cost between $75 to $100 million. Once completed, the plant will provide an additional 5,325 acre-feet of water a year. And that's a lot of water. Doing my calc, that's 1.735 billion gallons. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Wallace. Director Stewart, how's your voice tonight? I've heard you. I think it's catchy.
You can blame me, I'm fine with it. Just wanted to say thank you for everybody coming out. Thank you, John and Joyce, again. Expect to see all you guys again next week, or in 2 weeks. Those people we've seen forever, so I appreciate it. That's all I got.
Yeah, so he said 1 point something billion, he's talking about 70, we're just in the high dollar range.
High dollar.
High dollars. Only thing I'd like to do, first of all, John, thank you again. Like I said, from day one, you've been out there for us. Like I said, the kids, whoever needed it, you were there. Thank you very much and whatnot. And I'd just like to let everybody know that the other day, there's a recycling center across the street from Carl's Hardware.
Yeah.
A young kid has it there, and I got a gazillion recyclables, you know, since the guy closed on the Sierra Highway, but I'd encourage everybody, very personable young man, go out there, get your recyclables there. I don't know, you know, I don't know what the dollar amounts are, but anytime you see young people trying to get it right, I'd ask someone to support it. Because someone made a comment about they don't have work ethics. Maybe the ones that have work ethics, we should support them. But young kid out there, help me offload them, help me sort them or whatever, but it's directly across from Carl's Jr. and the Carl, I said Carl Jr. Yeah, and it's in the parking lot where the old bank used to be, right? Was there a bank in that parking lot there?
Wells Fargo.
Yeah, well, yeah, anyway, if you folks have recyclables, take them up. Is his name Shepard? Is Shepard? Do you know the kid's name?
I don't know his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It looks really clean too. It's
Yeah,
actually
it
cleaner
is
than the one
clean.
that's
It's
at
not all
KNS.
junky and whatever, so anyway, that's just a shout out for him, we'd love to support him.
Yeah, where's that at? It's in the parking lot of the, behind the old Circle K.
All right. Again, I want to thank John, but I want to change the tone just a little bit. His wife drove along on some of those miles, but there was a lot of miles that she didn't probably travel with him. And I'm sure there are times when John came home very happy, and she enjoyed those times, and she had joy with him. The times when he came home was kind of wore out and angry and frustrated, and he came home to a counselor who knew how to take care of him emotionally, and mentally, and physically, or else he wouldn't be sitting here now, and he wouldn't be retiring in good health. So I want to thank you for all that you've done. All right. General Counsel update.
Nothing for you tonight.
Thank you, John. General Manager update.
Just one thing to report, Mr. President, and that is we're continuing to negotiate with Chiquita Canyon on potential receiving some of their discharge, their leachate discharge. We anticipate bringing a letter of intent for your consideration on April 10th.
All right. Any questions about that?
How do you spell Chiquita?
CHIQUITA.
And Kim, on that project there, is that gonna be an ongoing thing for us?
That's part of the negotiation.
Okay, gotcha.
But the answer to your question, it is a term term period,
Yes.
but it will be an extension.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Director Administration update.
Thank you, Mr. President. I recently attended the SDRNA Spring Education Day Conference in Sacramento. We were given an update about the state of the insurance market. California is among the worst 4 states in the nation for the insurance market because of the nuclear claims, which are just extremely large payouts. And they stressed that tort caps are needed and more lobbying effort to legislation is needed. And CSDA does this on behalf of special districts. So I just wanted to share that information. I attended a couple of their breakout sessions. One was on protecting your agency against cyber attacks, and they were saying that we're only getting about a quarter, so 25% of what actually has happened. There's a lot more that doesn't get reported with the ransomware hacks that happen. Cal OSHA update, they talked about the types of inspections and what to expect during visits. So there's a lot of just great information that was passed along. For me attending this conference, it was well worth my time to go. We also had employment law updates. They talked about the greatest number of claims are for retaliation. So someone reporting something and then maybe getting fired, and they're saying, well, it's because I reported this. So we're seeing a trend with that. They talked about some new regulations that are coming up. One is with regards to workplace violence protection, so we have to have a plan in place for that by July 1st. That's in my report.
Tied into that, and maybe John Kumar, you can respond to this. I came away with the only real solution for insurance agencies to come back to California and property and liability and auto is for California to follow the example of like Arkansas and set tort limits on what can be collected on a liability. You want to speak to tort limits, John?
Well, catch me off guard here, but I can tell you that they do exist, for instance, in the medical malpractice world. So they are not totally foreign in the state, and certainly that is an appropriate lobbying topic.
Yeah, the number of insurance agencies that will no longer write liability and workers' comp, and that is getting smaller and smaller in California because of the excessive amount that juries give people who are injured in some way, shape, or form.
I agree with that.
All right. John, Public Works update.
Unless you have any questions on the field report, I don't have any update right now.
I don't know if everybody enjoys the pictures, but I enjoy that. I enjoy the pictures of seeing more than the words. Kind of have an idea of what's really going on. Ben is up here scrolling through looking at pictures.
How far is the repave going down Rosen Boulevard?
Down to Stetson.
That's not,
So just past the housing track right here, all the way to the freeway.
I was hoping they were gonna fix that sinkhole other
It
man.
needs to go all the way to 60.
Any questions for John? All right. Anything else that anyone wants to bring up before we adjourn? All right, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? Second, Director Wallace. Motion, Director Stewart. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 7:14.